All right, finding y and x-intercepts from an equation. I'm going to show you a couple things before we get started on your actual problems. If you are looking at a graph, x-axis is horizontal, y-axis is vertical, and if you had a line on this graph, there's your y-intercept, and there's your x-intercept. Okay, something to keep in mind is your y-intercept. Hopefully you can see this is where x equals 0. Okay, and therefore your x-intercept is where y equals 0. Okay, so when you are solving problems, for example, number 1, okay, so y equals negative 2x minus 2. If you are trying to find, let's first do your y-intercept. If you're trying to find your y-intercept, you know that's where x equals 0. So I'm going to plug in 0 for x. So therefore my y-intercept is equal to negative 2. Okay. And I think they might list it as an ordered pair, so you could also say it is 0, negative 2. Now if you think about your x-intercept, okay, this is where y is equal to 0. So I'm going to plug in 0 for y, and then I need to solve for x. So solving an equation, I'm going to add 2 to both sides, divide by negative 2. So therefore x equals negative 1. You can list it this way. I think the answer key might also list it as an ordered pair. So x is negative 1 and y is 0. Okay, so that's all really that there is to it. You just have to solve for x or y depending on what you have. I'm trying to see a couple ones that might be a little bit tricky for you. If you look down to, let's just do number 2 and number 3 because those ones are good to talk about. So number 2, okay, so you have y equals negative 3/5 x minus 1. You want to find your y-intercept, so you know that's where x equals 0. So you're going to plug in 0 for x. And we know that anything times 0 is just 0. So therefore, if we solve for y, y is negative 1. Or we can list it as an ordered pair, 0, negative 1, because remember x was 0. If we're finding our x-intercept, we plug in 0 for y, and then we want to solve for x. And I'm going to put x up top with the negative 3 minus 1. Okay, so I'm going to add 1 to both sides. I have negative 3/5 x equals 1. I want to solve for x, so to get rid of the division by 5, I'm going to multiply both sides by 5. I have 5 equals negative 3x, then divide by negative 3. So therefore x equals 5 over negative 3, my x-intercept. Or you can list it as an ordered pair, 5 over negative 3, 0. Okay, so even if you have fractions, don't worry to solve it like how you normally would. For number 3, here's kind of a special case. It is x equals 0. Now this is actually a vertical line. So with vertical lines, you're generally going to think about it as it will always have a x-intercept. But the issue that you run into is that you don't really have the y-intercept because it's just a vertical line. Okay, so in this case here, if you have a vertical line, you're just going to have an x-intercept of x equals 0, they gave it to you, but your y-intercept would be none. Okay, so this one's a little bit tricky. You have a problem like that also. That's the same as number 17. And number 18 is also a little bit tricky, so let's look at that one together. In this case here, it's 2 plus y equals 0. So again, if we want to try to find our y-intercept. Now right away we can see there's some issues because there's no x. Okay, so we're just going to solve for y. So y would equal -2. So that is our y-intercept. And in this case, this is a horizontal line. So there is no x-intercept. Okay. So good luck. If you have any questions, let me know.